Welcome to episode 215 of the podcast Studio Talent Collective. Welcome. Now today we are talking about the fact that you, studio owners and friends, are in sales. You're in sales. This is an important topic because often the topic of sales can feel a little bit sleazy. And as we come into the new year, it's really important to get serious about that enrollment boom. That is the potential for you and your business. And we really want to make sure that you're maximizing all of the opportunities and really leveraging from what you've created to grow your business, to retain your business, and to bring in 2026 with a bang. Okay, so the reminder is here. You are in sales. Let's go. I'm Josephine Lancuba, and welcome to Studio Talent Collective, the podcast for dance and performing arts studio owners. Here we share industry insights, inspiring stories, and real talk to help you build a thriving studio and in-house talent agency. As a performing arts business coach and talent agent, I'm all about dreaming big and growing together as a community. You're in the right place. Let's leap in. Hey, it's Josephine here, and today we're talking about sales for your studio business and flipping the mindset script on the fact that it might feel a little bit sleazy. I'm here to tell you it's not. This was really sparked, this episode, because right now I am in a promotional campaign for my course Talent Manager Bootcamp. I've spoken about it on a couple of episodes. And so, it can be quite intensive. So if you're on my mailing list, you see, more emails than usual for a week. And then it goes away, right? It goes away because then we just, get back to that informative, newsletter style, have a conversation, storytelling scenario. But when I'm in a launch or an intensive marketing campaign, which I might only do a couple of times a year for a particular product offer or service, then, I'm going to talk about things more. And at first that might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but after a while you actually realize that it's very important because the amount of people that I've been able to support, the amount of studio owners that, I've been able to impact and make a difference in their lives and their businesses, it has come from the fact that I've, talked about, marketed and sold what I have to offer. And so the same really applies to you. And I want you to know that because you are in sales. Yes, you too. Those that are listening, you too are in sales, even if you don't feel like that is your comfort zone. Someone needs to be comfortable in it in your business. Someone does. If not you, then who? Who is the revenue generator? If you're not it, and you don't have the resources for anyone else to be the salesperson, then it really needs to be you. If you do have team, then you might delegate some of those tasks to others, but really someone in your team is in sales. But the natural effect for a small business owner is that it will be yourself. I do want to mention before I kick into some of the core discussion points today, because I want to really talk about selling. I want to talk about storytelling. I want to talk about retention and the hidden sale there. I want to talk about, mindset and why you might be shying away from sales and practical ways to improve that, sales muscle, if you will. So I want to talk about all of these discussion points today. But before I do, just a quick mention. I think I said that on my podcast last week that Talent Manager Bootcamp, the course to take you from studio owner to talent manager and create that in-house talent agency. We've got a special bonus there, which closed on the 23rd of September, but I've extended it. I'm getting quite a few inquiries. So I've extended the bonus, and I just wanted to quickly mention it here, and I'll update the website and all that jazz to reflect that. But it's actually now the bonuses end on the 29th of September. So I just wanted to share that. So yeah, little conflict of information, but when it's your business, you can do whatever you want, right? These arbitrary deadlines we create for ourselves, right? Sometimes we feel trapped by the things that we've done in a particular campaign or whatever, or even just a new offer. You might have launched a class in your studio and you're like, oh, no one signed up, 2 kids only, and it's not covering costs, but we're going to run it anyway because I said we were running it. I mean, you're not bound by any rules, right? You can do whatever you want. But I just wanted to say that those 3 group momentum coaching calls are open till now, the offer, if you purchase by the 29th of September, Talent Manager Bootcamp, you'll get it. Okay, so that's my hurrah for there. Okay, let's jump in, because sales is often a dirty word in the arts world. And why that mindset holds studio owners back is because when you feel that it is a dirty word, or that it's sleazy, or, you say words like, selling makes me uncomfortable, I don't like selling, people don't want to be sold to, all that jazz, all the things, all the narratives that are in your mind, then really what you're doing is you're stopping yourself from growth, because someone needs to be talking about your offer. And sales doesn't have to be sleazy at all. Like, you can absolutely reframe that. It's a service, and it's about helping your students, your families, your community say yes to the right opportunities. And if you truly believe and back yourself in the sense of the quality of the service that you offer, then it is your obligation to let people know about it so that they can receive those opportunities, and receive those experiences. That's the way I see it. I truly do. Okay. Just now, like I just talked about the course that I'm, selling right now. I don't feel sleazy about that, because I really believe in it. I've seen the transformation, and I know what good it does, in the world and with the people that take part. And so the same applies for you and your business. Every studio owner is already selling. So whether you like it or not, you are already in sales. So you're enrolling new students, right? You're enrolling new students equals sales. You're convincing families to stay season after season, that's sales, right? If you're promoting your concerts, your shows, holiday workshops, if you're selling uniforms, community events, that equals sales. But it's the in-between parts that is the missing formula. And that is the continuous effort. So, for example, you might be great on your social media right now and have great consistency and frequency across your social media each and every week. And I actually think that it's really important when it comes to whatever content you put out into the world to be informative and not just sell, right? That is absolutely crucial, because people will become tired of that. And you also want to give value, not just sell. You want to give value. Like this podcast, for example, is one of the forms of, value free that I give to my community. And I'm happy to do that. I mean, if you wouldn't believe it, we've been going now for I think it's been 3 years and 11 months this podcast has been alive and kicking. And so, in order to be consistent with that, there are weeks where we've had amazing reach and weeks where we haven't. And I just have to remember each and every time that I'm showing up for the people that are in the room, or the people like yourself that are listening. Consistency pays off. And it's almost like your effort compounds in interest. That's how I like to think about it. Like when people think about investing, right, in shares, and they say, well, if you invest money in shares, it compounds interest over time. I like to think effort compounds interest over time. And so when it comes to this particular podcast, like last month, we had our most downloaded, highly listened to show ever in the, nearly 4 years that I've been running this podcast. It's had 3 different iterations of names. We've evolved. It's rebranded 3 times, but I continued on the path. Even as I evolved, and I kept going, and that interest has compounded. And now, we are hitting phenomenal numbers and have, literally the highest downloaded episode of all time from last month. So you've got to keep on the path. You're already selling, but if you can get that consistency in your messaging, that is very important. So coming back to that social media point, do you sell on social media, or is it all just entertainment and valuable information, like how to fit a point shoe for a new ballet dancer, or stretching techniques, and then you might have fun stuff showing the people dancing and the experience and all the things. So you've got this beautiful pot of different content variations, but what might be missing is the sale each week. Is there something that you're promoting or selling each week on your socials in the mix of everything else? You definitely want to have 80% of the other. You don't want 80% selling unless you're in an intensive campaign like I am right now, like I've mentioned for Talent Manager Bootcamp. If you head to my social media page, our platform, Studio Talent Collective, you'll see there's a lot of marketing going on there. And that's because I'm in a campaign. But then every other time it's just sharing the love and, informative content, blah, blah, blah. So it's all a mix. Okay. Sales is truly storytelling. It really is. Because at the end of the day, your students, your community, the families who buy from you don't just buy classes. They really don't. They buy the transformation. What do I mean by that? They're buying confidence in their child. They're buying friendships. They're buying stage opportunities. They're buying community. Yeah? So really you want to tell those stories, those transformative stories of confidence, or, the friendships that have developed, or, the stage opportunities that they've had, the community stories that have been built because of your walls. Yeah, so that's the transformation. And you can get better at storytelling. Like if you're not really sure about what stories to tell, there are so many stories to tell that will resonate with the community that you've built, with the parents, with the grandparents, with the students themselves, with, whoever, right? So you do have stories, but you've just got to be confident enough to tell the story. Yeah, and that's really critical. And I think that, you might think it's a boring story, but it's not. It's not. People are interested in what happens behind the scenes in real life of what's going on. So you've just got to really open up the doors for people. You've really just got to open up those doors for people. Okay, retention. Let's talk about retention. Now, retention is the hidden sale, right? Because every re-enrollment is a sale that you didn't have to pitch for. If you've built strong value, then people will stay, and you can increase the volume of what they buy from you. So if they only do 1 class a week, maybe they do 5 classes a week. If they buy the compulsory uniform, maybe they'll buy the team jacket as well. If they buy tickets to the show, maybe they're getting the VIP backstage pass with a photo on stage as an upsell. Like those hidden sales are inside the retention. And so that's really important to have a strategy around that as well, not just new customers, new enrollments. Like how can we keep people for longer and upsell to our current customers? It's actually easier to sell to someone who spent $1 with you than someone that's totally fresh and new, because you have to build trust. Yeah. But the trust is already there when it comes to retention. So selling doesn't stop at the sign up. It happens every day in the experience that you deliver. So just remember that, okay? All right. Now we're going to talk about why studio owners shy away from sales. I would love to, speaking of storytelling, if you have a story, I would love to hear your story. So please always feel free to reach out to me, podcast at josephinelancuba.com. I've got the email down in the show notes for you as well, but podcast at josephinelancuba.com, or you can go and find me on Instagram, Studio Talent Collective, and literally just send me a message. I want to hear your stories of why you might have shied away from sales, or where you feel that you need support when it comes to sales. But there's definitely that fear of rejection, right? So that lack of confidence. No one likes being rejected. I mean, I was just having this conversation today with a friend of mine who's in the industry, and there was a large industry event near her community, and she didn't know about it and she didn't get an invite. And, but she said that she felt rejected and it didn't feel good, right? Same applies. Like, this can happen in any experience. Sometimes we pick up the phone, we call someone, they did a trial with us. By the way, if you're not picking up the phone, for those people that are cold on your list, then you should be. That's one thing to do. But yeah, there's going to be people that say, I'm not interested. I ran a webinar the other day on how to create a talent agency in your studio. We had a really good sign-up rate with very minimal show-up rate. But here's the thing. Even if only 2 people show up to the trial class and one of them buys, that's a customer, and sometimes we need to not be scared of that rejection and that, that lack of confidence when the numbers are small. We do need to start somewhere. And I know that you're probably telling yourself things like, I'm an artist, not a salesperson. That's definitely a mindset. But, you really want to shift to, I'm an advocate for my students' growth and opportunities. I am contributing to my community and I'm making an impact with the studio business I operate. So you need to start shifting your mindset again away from that fear and rejection and that lack of confidence to, I'm actually doing something really positive here. And it's okay if I call 10 people today and 9 of them say no, but 1 of them says yes and 1 of them said yes. That's who you're there for. Now, there are some practical ways to improve your sales muscle, which I mentioned in the very beginning. And that is, metrics is one of them. I'm such a fan of metrics. I love keeping metrics. And that is tracking, tracking conversion rates, your re-enrollment percentages, for example, your trial to sales conversion. Another great way that studio owners don't really take on board, and this could be something new to try. So first of all, I know you've got the trial class process. So most studios will have a trial class process, whether that's free, paid, whatever your process is, whatever your offer is. I know that you've got a trial class offer. But what about discovery calls? Now, hear me out. This is something that a lot of people do in the, different spaces like my space, the speaking space, or in the course sales space, etc. You'll see me doing it. Like, I'll say, hey, if you're interested in my course, or if you're interested in plugging in our talent agency into your business and you want to talk with us at Studio Talent Collective, book a strategy call or a free chat with me today. That's what I say. That is a real offer, by the way. I'll pop a link in the show notes for that too while we're here. So that is something that I offer. I offer a free chat, 15 minutes. I have a Calendly account. You can set this up however you want, but I have a Calendly account and they're like 15-minute calls. And you can set up the schedule however you want. Like, you might only take calls on Tuesdays and Fridays, making it up. Or maybe you do it on a Saturday afternoon. But my point is, you set these up in your booking calendar and you offer them to people, and people will book a chat. It might only be a 10-minute chat. It could just be phone, not Zoom. So you can set it up as just a phone call, not a Zoom. But this is an opportunity where people, maybe they have questions and they want more from you and they just need a quick chat to convert them. So you can say, hey, you might be emailing and they've got all these questions and you're like, hey, would you like to book in a chat with me? More than happy to do that. Here's a link to book a time and I can go over all of this with you. It's another opportunity as well for all of the trials that might have come and didn't convert. You'll see percentages. Maybe you can offer them a free call or a discovery call, or you can just call it a free chat, a free information chat, whatever. Yeah, but that's a way to do it as well. So just getting practical on ways to convert your people, and improve your sales muscle, I suppose, and having more conversations. You also want to practice clear, confident invitations rather than apologetic offers. Yeah, and if you do this, you'll know exactly what I mean by that too. Okay, so now what I want to dive into is talent management and how we can have sales on a bigger stage. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, like I said, I am in relaunch mode for Talent Manager Bootcamp. And so, again, this is about really creating that in-house talent agency for your studio. I have launched this multiple times. It has been updated of recent, so the course has now been updated. This is one of the 3 pathways into talent management that I offer through Studio Talent Collective, which is my business and company. We have 3 pathways, which is 1, the first pathway is the course, and that is Talent Manager Bootcamp. That is, learning the ropes essentially, and also tangible steps to actually create your own talent agency, your own talent management service. There are 2 other pathways, the plug-in and also the done for you service. That's all available inside of STC. But what I'm talking about today is the bigger stage, and that is why sales can be more than just the traditional studio setup. I mean, I talk about in the course, and I'll talk about it here, the 7 key revenue streams inside of a talent agency. And so essentially what you're doing is you're creating new revenue pathways for your business as well. So, you're selling parents on auditions. That's great. So the sign up process, which is that initial photo shoot, and they get auditions and things like that as well. In addition to that, you're selling the value of your studio as that go-to hub for opportunity. So, if they book a gig, you get commissions on the gigs. And so much more, right? Again, there are 7 key revenue streams inside the course. But this isn't just about dollars, It's also about opening doors for your students and your brand. Because when you open doors for your brand, then again, you've got that retention. Remember, retention being the hidden sale that we talked about earlier. You're also expanding the excitement across your community, which really puts eyes on your brand and draws people to you. Whether they're recreational students, elite students, it really doesn't matter. You can have an inclusive talent management approach. Again, the dollars, yes, direct or indirect sales, I like to say. So direct being the commissions, the photo shoots, it could be private lessons for audition technique or group workshops for, mock audition sessions, etc. To name a couple of things, you might host a special event or a ticketed event for agency students only, awards nights, etc. There's lots of opportunity there. But what it also does is it creates a buzz. And so those are the direct sales, but then there's the indirect sales, which again is just really that buzz in your studio space where they do more, stay longer. They're buying more from you, they're staying longer because they love what you do. They become really immersed in that hub of opportunity. So look, if this conversation lit your fire, this is exactly what I do. I help studio owners. I support studio owners in providing their students with amazing opportunities on screen and on stage. And Talent Manager Bootcamp is one of those pathways in which, we can make that magic happen. It's really just not about creating opportunities for your students. It's also about positioning and selling those opportunities in a way that grows your business. So if you're interested, Talent Manager Bootcamp is now open until, it's open, but we have the bonuses, which is you get me on 3 group coaching momentum calls to hold your hands through it. And that bonus is available until September the 29th, Sydney time zone, Australia. So anyway, if that sounds like a good time for you, head to josephinelancuba.com/talent. Link is in the show notes. Thank you so much. And don't forget, you can always reach out to us at the Studio Talent Collective Studio Talent Collective Instagram page. Send us a DM, ask your questions, have a chat. If you want to book a free chat with me there, you can. You just say, hey, I'd love to book a free chat, and I'll send you a link to do that. So all the things. Yeah, I really do hope that this has inspired you to be the revenue generator of your business and to sell, because if not you, then who? And I think that that's a really important thing that all small businesses, especially creative businesses, where we get so engrossed in the passion side of things that we forget to sell the thing we love so that more people can enjoy the experience and be a part of that impact, which is what I want for your business. All right. Thanks for listening, friends. Bye. This episode is brought to you by Studio Talent Collective, helping you go from studio owner to talent manager with confidence. Ready to start your own in-house talent agency? Connect with me at josephinelancuba.com or via the links in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, and review. Thanks for listening, and keep shining.